Welcome to CosmoFactory, a podcast by Cosmoprof Worldwide Bologna, where we explore the entire cosmetics, personal care, and fragrance industry supply chain. I'm your host, Deanna Utrusky, and here at CosmoFactory, we look beyond the trends to discover the ideas, initiatives, and innovations that are truly advancing beauty. Let's get started. In this episode, we're talking about biotech ingredient development, about cell culture technology, about biodiversity in Chile, about international partnerships, and ingredient pricing strategy. Joining me on the CosmoFactory podcast today is José Pablo García, co-founder and CEO of Rubisco Biotechnology. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Dina. It's a pleasure for us and an honor to be in your podcast as we see you as a reference in the industry, always reviewing and commenting on new and hot trends from all around the world. We are an excellent example as we are in far from everywhere in Chile. And we are very happy to be in your show.
Excellent. I'm so glad you're here as well. So Rubisco specializes in the research and development of cosmetic actives. But for our listeners who might not yet be familiar with the company, can you please introduce Rubisco a bit further?
Yeah, for sure. We are a biotech company placed in Chile. We are working with cell culture for the listeners that doesn't get on this is what we do is a big platform from the selection of any species that is from interest. We take a small little piece of it to the laboratory where our scientists make the magic. So giving the right media to these small pieces of the species, we can make a reproduction of it in a cellular way that after some process, we can make to scale it up to industrial quantities. So we can, after that, put the active ingredient in the commercial phase where we have our different partners around the world, so they can make the distribution of it. So we are very glad that we have the platform from beginning to end, and we think that everybody should be jumping on this kind of biotech in the production of active ingredients.
Yeah, no, it's definitely very exciting technology. And I'm just going to mention for folks listening that you and I are recording our conversation in early July. It'll probably be a bit later when they're listening in. But I think it was just this month or maybe late last month that you told me you moved into new offices and lab facilities. How's that?
Yeah, yes. Just 2 weeks ago, we are now in a bigger facility. Well, that's the roadmap of any startup.
Yes.
At the beginning, we begin in a co-work, or it was maybe more than a co-work. It was a laboratory that used to have different startups. Then we moved to another facility that was smaller. We were there for around 1 year and a half. Now we moved to a bigger place where we are putting together the R&D area where we make all the development and the research, of course, with the production machines. So we have everything inside the same place. So we are looking how everything is developing, and we can take care of it in the most professional way.
Great. I love it. So in preparing for our interview today, I learned that Chile actually has multiple climates throughout the country, and the country includes, I believe it's like 6,000 kilometers, and that's 3,700 miles maybe of coastline along the South Pacific Ocean. And the coastline of your country actually continues around the tip of South America, so around the southern tip of the continent, making Chile the southernmost country in the world. I am a little shy to admit it, but I did not know this. But considering the country's diversity of climates and the land mass that it covers, north to south, really. I'm hoping that you can now tell us about the types of unique plant species that you're working with at Rubisco Biotechnology. What sorts of plant life is available there in Chile?
Yeah, that's something amazing, and we believe that for sure several countries has amazing different species, but
Yeah.
we are privileged over here, as you said. We have a narrow and very long country. We even have a big piece of the Antarctica, the Antarctic, from that is amazing over there. So we have, as you said, this very long coast, and is very near to the mountains. So in between we have forests and a lot of biodiversity, and moving a little further on that, we have been choosing a very specific and special species from Chile. For instance, the first one we started to work is the Alerce, that is a magnificent tree. It's the oldest living species in the history of the world. So it's so crazy. It's the oldest one, called the big abuelo, or the grandfather. It has 5,500 years. Imagine how old it is, that the pyramids were just beginning to be built, and this old tree was already 1,000 years. This is very crazy. And this magnificent species is very protected. So the only way to take some of its benefits is through alternative process, and one of them is the cell culture. So once we took a small little piece of it, that we took it from the ground, and we took it to the lab, and we managed, after a lot of time, to reproduce it in the lab with these benefits, and which one of it is that it has a very strong benefit on the regeneration of the skin. So kind of we are hacking the nature to bring these magnificent benefits to our commercial ingredients. So we are very happy to do it, and protecting the species, as we only have to use it once, and from a small little piece of it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Can you say a little bit more about this ingredient that you've developed using the Alerce tree, what more of the benefits are, and have you developed some product prototypes as well to help formulators start working with it?
Yes. We already launched this product with one of our partners in Spain. We did it in Paris last year. There are several trademarks that are using it. One of them is Comico, is inside Sephora. Also Freebits in South Korea. 1 month ago, Rocío Carrasco is a famous celebrity from Spain. She launched her own cosmetic full line just from Alerce. And apart from making, because it's, at the end of the day, it's an anti-wrinkle, it gives the anti-wrinkle effect, but also it prevents the damage caused by the blue lights that, you know, for sure that right now everybody is with the phone, with the computers, the TV, and we don't know, but the damage caused by the blue lights is very harmful. But as we have these different devices in our everyday, we don't see it. So it's very important to be taking care of that. And with Alerce, for instance, you have 100% of coverage for the blue lights. But what is more important of it, or the best benefit, is the anti-wrinkle effect. And being a natural product right now is going very good, and we're very happy for what we're doing. As just can say on that all the production that we are making right now is already being sold in months in advance. So it's like okay, we have to see how we push our limits on making more production. That is what we are doing right now in this new laboratory we moved 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, perfect. That makes very good sense. That's it's a nice challenge to have, I'm sure. Can you talk about some of the other plant species from Chile that you're working with? Anything you can share?
Yes, of course. Yes, we have a portfolio that is right now with more than 20 species, but the 5 ones that we have already present and already being accepted, some of the patents are the alerce, that is this magnificent tree. Also the maqui, that is one of the berries that has the most antioxidant power around all the berries. For instance, other ones that are very known is the goji. This is like 40 times more powerful than the goji.
Wow.
Or if you go to Brazil in the acai, this is 50 times more powerful than that. So it's very good to have the opportunity to take the benefits of this species and take this antioxidant power to the ingredients we are using. Also, we are working with quillay. Quillay is a native tree that only grows in the south of Chile. That right now, if you go in the demand of it, has passed by far what the different companies can offer, because one of the molecules that can be extracted of this tree, that is the Quillaja saponaria, one of the saponins, the QS21, is being used in different vaccines, mainly the malaria right now, or one or two in the COVID that were already giving thumbs up in the United States. So everything is like everybody wants that. So this is much more needful to have alternative ways to grow this species. And one of these ones is the cell culture, which we are doing. We have already made a patent on the use of it. So we are making that push. Also, arnica, that is very known for when you have a bruise, it turns black. You put that on your skin and it goes down very quick. And one of the problems that has this beautiful species is that 40% of it is being produced in Europe, near where the war is happening between Russia. So right now that production fell very strong. So again, alternative ways of producing not the plant but the benefits of the plants is being very necessary, and we already are pushing that by our side. And we have other species that as taking more than taking care, as taking advantage of the way Chile has this long and narrow, we are this long and narrow country. We have also the most dry desert in the world, and every 2 years a small rain goes to this desert and grows some small plants, and it's a very beautiful spectacle as big parts of the desert turns red of this small plant. So we took this plant and we analyzed the different benefits that has, and it happened that this one is it has an hydration power very, very, very strong. So we have another ingredient with a very compelling storytell, because we're taking this small species from the most dry desert in the world that has also the most changing from hot in the day to very cold in the night. So we are seeing also it can be used for different sun-proof stuff. So we're taking advantage of whatever it can be used in a very responsible way, as we are very committed. This maybe sound a cliche phrase, but one of the visions we have as being an entrepreneurship in Rubisco is try to leave a better future for next generations, for my own kids.
Sure.
I want them to be to have the opportunity to watch everything we are doing. So with this biotech platform we are pushing, we think we are contributing, at least in a small way, but we are doing it, so we are very happy with that.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, there are more than, there's more than one type of biotechnology used to develop ingredients for cosmetic and personal care product formulations. Obviously, as you've shared many times, you're working with the cell culture technology. And I know to do that, you need what we think of as a cell culture medium, some sort of material, if you will, that lets you grow these cells in a lab or in the ingredient production facility. Can you say a little bit more about that piece of the technology and what you've developed?
Yeah, well, that is something very, very, very cool and good that you have asked, because in the last 3 weeks, we just got to know that we were working with a very specific media that can be used in multiple species, and that we were making an enrichment of the cells. Usually, if you want to do a very good throughput of the species in this biotech platform, you have to use a specific media with different food, if we can say it that way, for the cells. But we have got one that now we are seeing that is producing almost the same effect of enrichment in each species we are working. And now we are presenting a patent on that, as we want to make like a full, like an umbrella, where we have from one side the final ingredients, where we are protecting the use of it, and by the other side we are patenting some medias that are giving this amazing enrichment of the different cells. What is also, as we are always not as powerful as you do, but we are making our own reviewing. We review what the different players around the world are doing. And for instance, 2 years ago, L'Oreal, that is the biggest player in the industry, they make this excellent facts that we love, and they say that by 2030, 100% of all the bio-based ingredients will be traceable and will come from sustainable sources with no link to deforestation. And we know that right now, only 50% of the ingredient that goes in that part, they don't have that. So this is something for all of your listeners and reviewers. But for sure, there are a lot of companies that are producing, and everybody for sure knows this. So to be pursuing alternative ways to produce the similar or the ingredients that right now are being sold that are produced in the traditional way, we push them to be looking and trying to make alternative ways that we take care of the biodiversity, water. Cell culture gives 99% of less use of water. That is something amazing.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
For us, we are for maybe it's when we talk in first person, but for us this is the future. Everybody should be jumping on this in different way. We understand that there are a lot of difficulties, but for big companies, of course we know that they are working on these biotechnologies, and the sooner they change to more sustainable ways of producing the same ingredients, but because there is there is not a good way if you produce something similar that doesn't have the same effect, or is what is happening right now extremely more expensive, because
Right,
right
right.
now there is something it's kind of crazy when you talk on sustainability. All sustainable products, really don't know why, are much more expensive. They are
Yeah.
even sometimes considered a luxury, and that is
Yes,
very crazy.
yes.
It should be all the way around. So
Yeah. Yeah,
that
no,
is what we
let's
do.
talk about that pricing a little bit later.
Yeah.
I definitely want to get to it because your point is super important. But let's think a little bit more about, you mentioned deforestation, and of course, an important aspect of environmental sustainability has to do with preserving or protecting biodiversity. Can you say a little bit more about how your company's work contributes to preserving the biodiversity um, in
Yes,
nature?
yes, yes, yes. This is more than what we do as a company. Is that all the companies that are working with alternative methods. One of those for sure are the cell cultures. There are some other ones, but this one, as we only have to, for instance, when we talk about the allergens,
Yeah.
we just went one time to the south of Chile, to a very specific place, uh, a specific place that is where the Gran Abuelo is, and we didn't even touch it. We were looking on the ground where we could find some leaves that have or branches of the tree, and we took it. So when we are talking about working with cell culture or other alternative biotech processes, we are saying that it's not something just in a commercial or marketing way to say. We are really taking care of the biodiversity, as we are not touching the nature. We are taking the benefits of it. That is what everybody wants to do, but at the same time, we have to take care of it in a very professional way. And for sure, we're not the only one that do this. And we push daily all the other entrepreneurs that are doing something stuff
Yeah.
similar to us to go this way, and similar to the same to the big players, that we do understand that they have these big machineries that are already built in the natural, or the natural way of extracting the different processes and extracting the different ingredients.
Sure.
But we already are pushing them. Some of them doesn't like the how hard we push, but for us is that is the way it has to be. The big players, they are the ones that they have to make the change in the
Yeah.
industry. If the big
Yeah.
players, it doesn't adapt these different or alternative ways of producing, and nothing is gonna happen. But as told before, L'Oreal, and we know Unilever also, they are already staying in almost in every webinar or places where they are presenting what they are making this commitment for 2030. And
Yes.
2030 is at the end of the street. It's at the other side of the street. It's tomorrow.
Yes,
So this
yes,
is
no,
very crazy.
absolutely. Absolutely. No. Yeah, as you said, the industry needs to make those changes and they're definitely moving in that direction. And when it might feel like you have competition in the space, that's a good thing too. We've talked several times, quite a lot rather, about native Chilean species that you're working with, but I know you're working with some biotech companies internationally. Can you share a little bit about partnerships that you have?
Yes, of course. As we are very proud to making different collaborations around the world. The startups that doesn't this is what we believe, that doesn't go this way on looking synergy with other companies that are some kilometers ahead of us. It's going to be very difficult to move forward. For instance, some companies I can mention, we're working with Coviosa. This is a company in Spain. They have 51 years in the in the cosmetic industry. They have presence all over 70 countries. So for us, they are an excellent partner. Also, we're working in Italy with ABRS, that they have also several years working with cell culture, and they are sharing with us. We are making a collaboration. We share with them and they with us in the production of different species. More than share some stuff is that we know that everybody that is jumping in this kind of production, they are gonna crash with different problems, and the better way to jump these problems is to talk with somebody that has already have them.
Right.
So we are eager to share this with other companies. For instance, we once a month we are sharing with different companies in South America that are starting with this, and they ask us. One of the classical questions is, how do you do with the contamination process? It's like, well, there is nobody in the world, even if you're talking with the biggest player, that they won't have this problem, because the vessels you use for growing, or the bioreactors, the steel tanks or whatever, they have to be the more sterile that is available.
Yes.
And usually that doesn't happen. So you start growing something that is this is like a baby. You can push it although you want, and this is like makes me very anxious. It's like I wanted this to grow faster, but they don't, and you don't see also the contamination as when you have lost a lot of time. So, but in one of the process we are making in this part of the growing process, we are dividing this, and we can share this information with everybody in small vessels. So when we are sure that what we have is scalable, we take the best vessels that have already produced the active ingredient with the benefits that we are pursuing. That is the one we throw it to start on a bigger production. But that is a process that nobody can jump. It's like, and the most you put your mind on how to get the contamination aside is the better. And we have learned that also from a Sweden company that we have worked with them for several years, in vitro plant tech, and some scientific from there, Anna Holfors, that is a great partner, a great scientific, and she has also been teaching us on how to do it, how to jump a lot of these problems. And as time passes or goes by, we have learned on how to do it, and that has given us the opportunity to build our own facilities here in Chile, with the, of course, with the help of these big prizes from the government, where we have to compete against hundreds of other startups. We have been awarded with a lot of money to start building these facilities here in Chile, and not only be doing it with third-party partners from around the world that we are also doing with them, but as part of the process, we believe that it's very important to have from the beginning to the end, at least all what's the word? You have to see how everything is going on, so you can see and have the opportunity to tell what you want to do, how you want to do, on how much quantities you need to go. And for that, of course, it's not an easy process, but the better understanding of that long process, the better understanding of the problems, and the better understanding on how to jump above these problems, then you see that it wasn't so difficult. Well, I can say that after years and years and years of crashing against these doors, But right now, we are pushing that in a very nice way, and we are sharing our expertise with everybody that is asking us.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's very important, as you've said here, to not only try to address the challenges within your own company by various sorts of experimentation and scale up strategies, but then collaborating internationally. I think this is so significant throughout the industry, but with biotech innovation as well. So let's go ahead and wrap our conversation up by thinking about what you were observing earlier, that so much of what's sustainable in the industry is very expensive. We know that one of the challenges for companies to adopt biotech ingredients has to do with the cost. I'm wondering if you can now share a little bit about how Rubisco is addressing this challenge. How are you changing the price of ingredients? What can you do about that?
Yes, yes, that's as I was talking about before. That's one of the big issues of working with biotech's company, as usually not all of them, of course, are starting on different process. You try to get all the price, all the costs on very few ingredients. So that ones has to they have to take care of all your company,
Right. So
mainly
many
that. So
biotech companies start with a very small portfolio of ingredients. They're relying on those for their revenue. Yeah, that makes sense.
yes, as you have little, you have to charge on those to maintain. But we saw that that was a problem, because as we have this very strategic partner that has presence all over the world, we could see that, and they have hundreds of ingredients, just the one from us that are biotech produced through this platform, and we were seeing that most of them were or they were very low price comparing to the ones the first one we took out. And
Okay.
although it was being sold in a very good way, more than what we could produce, it was they have more than 300 clients, but they were just selling to 5 for them, and they couldn't push it to all of the base, because we didn't have more production. And we were
Right.
like, okay, but what happened if we push it to everybody? And they were like, okay, this is not gonna happen in a very good way, because it's too expensive for them. Okay, but what would happen if we push it on the replacement side? Because, for instance, maki, that is
Mhm.
this very antioxidant, powerful berry, it has its own ingredient right now in the market for from another very famous company.
Sure.
And we were, okay, what is the price of that? It's $150. Okay, can we reach that price? It was like, at the beginning, okay, it depends. It depends if we put everything, all the supply, the internal supply chain, the production chain,
Mhm.
and we are all the different margins we are managing by our side. It was, yes, of course we can do. We can compete with them in the
Okay.
same price. So, and this is what was it's happening right now. We launched this one in Paris 3 months ago. It
Okay.
was like, okay, we didn't know what was going to happen, and right now they are having a very strong demand of this ingredient, as they are seeing, okay, we have this active ingredient that has been produced in the traditional way, taken from the
Mhm.
fields. And
Yes.
at the other side, we have this one that has the not the same, but very similar benefits, and they are at the same price. What is happening? We were like crossing fingers that our strategy was going to work, and for sure it worked, because it's for us it's something very obvious. It's like, if you have two ingredients that are the same at the same price, which one would you choose?
Right.
The one that is more sustainable. You're right now, for 30% of the different clients in the cosmetic industry, this was set by L'Oreal also. The sustainability is a buying trigger. So when that is happening, then the companies are like, okay, this is not something that is very sustainable, although they are trying to reach that. But when we start talking about how they buy, how they sell, and how that is gonna affect at the end of at the end of the month your pocket, then they were like, okay, now we're talking something else. So if you are able to get to the same price that your ingredient, the competition is the ingredient made in a traditional way, then this is a game changer.
Yeah.
So as said before, we're not the only company in the world that is doing this. There are several that are much more bigger than us. They are producing in bigger quantities. But the difference is, and this is very nice of the biotech, all the biotech companies, is that you make the patent of the ingredient you're working with. So there are hundreds and hundreds of different species on the world, and there are very few that are being produced by 2 or 3 or 4 different biotech companies. So everybody is the 25 to 30 companies that are doing this in the world. They are doing this, but each one is focus on their own kind of ingredients, because
Right.
each one has different benefits. So any of them that are listening to us, we ask them and push them to go to compete with the ingredient that is making a traditional way, and for sure you are going to be selling your quantity in the production is going to explode.
Yes.
The price will go down, but at the end of the day, is the formulation is price per quantity. So the quantity is going to explode, and you can be playing with the price. And at the end of the day, also making a very good action for the planet, for the people, because this is an excellent solution to reach millions of consumers. So
Yes.
the sooner we do this, the better for everybody.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate your sharing that pricing experiment, really, because we've always suspected, right, that the cost of biotech ingredients was a main obstacle to industry adoption. But I love what you're sharing. And as you've suggested, the biotech suppliers in our industry each have their own specialty. So there's definitely opportunity for others to follow the example that you've set here. That's so exciting to hear that it's working. I'm very glad to hear about that. I have to say,
Thanks.
José Pablo, this has been a very fascinating interview. I thank you for being part of the CosmoFactory podcast today.
Thank to you. We are proud to have been invited to your show, and have a nice day, better week, and better year for everybody, especially for you.
Yes, take care. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. If you find the CosmoFactory podcast useful, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review and share your thoughts so even more cosmetic industry professionals can discover the CosmoFactory. I'm Deanna Utrusky. Please join me again next Tuesday for a new episode of the CosmoFactory podcast.